So before we start, I'm gonna ask you a bit about your experience with Wild Rift and other MOBAs, just to get like a good understanding of where you're at. So is Wild Rift like the first MOBA game you've played?
I believe so, yes.
Okay. And how long have you been playing? Since the beginning?
Uh, it's hard to say, but nearly 3 years now.
Okay. So now you're Emerald 2, if I'm not mistaken, and you want to get to Master,
Yes,
at
that's the goal.
least. That's the goal. So do you main mid lane?
Yes,
And you mostly play Katarina?
that's all I play usually,
Oh,
yes.
so you one trick Katarina. Okay, perfect. Okay, so what I'm gonna do now is I'm gonna share my screen,
Huh?
and you're gonna be able to go on Discord and see my shared screen, and we're gonna kind of review the games.
Alright,
I'm gonna pretty much give you my advice on the games, and then at the end I'll give you some time for questions as well. But feel free to ask any questions while
sure.
while we're watching the games too. So before I even start with that, do you show your runes here?
I believe I do.
Um,
Uh,
oh, there we go. Okay,
I don't remember, but I believe I do.
okay. Because Karina is usually a pretty standard champion that you take similar runes on every game. So I don't
Oh,
really like the precision. I think it's okay. However, you have like three different options, right? You can either go what you're going. However, the problem with this rune page is that you can't get any defensive runes, right? Or do you change them? Because okay, so you do take bone plating. Okay.
right.
The problem with this though is that now you're missing out on sudden impact, which is by far Katarina's strongest rune, right? It gives you
Right,
13 magic pen, which is
right.
massive. So what I would recommend for the most part is going domination, taking sudden impact,
Mm-hmm.
um, then taking either empowered attack or mark of the week. I think both are okay. Um, and then eyeball collector. And then you can take bone plating versus champions like Diana, and you can even take second wind versus champions that poke you more, right? If you just want to
Right,
survive lane versus champions that poke you. Um,
right.
what you can also do, like your rune page is fine, but it would only work versus very squishy champions that you're not worried about in lane. And Katarina just doesn't have many matchups like that. So this game,
Right.
who's their jungler? They have a very weird team comp.
I don't remember.
Okay, it looks like it's Lux mid and Malphite
So Diana
support.
Jungle, maybe?
Yeah, Diana jungle. Okay, so it looks like you're versus Lux mid. So this is actually a game where honestly your home page would probably be fine if you just go. But you need sudden impact, right? You have to take sudden impact uh, instead of bone plating. But honestly, sudden impact is pretty much a must on Katarina. The 13 magic pen is just way too valuable.
Yeah, would you say I should take it every game?
Sudden impact, yeah, pretty much. Like y-
Right.
your rune page only works. Uh, let me go to it. Okay. So this rune page only works versus really easy lanes, which Katarina just doesn't have many of, right? Most lanes are pretty hard for Katarina, but that's the only time it works. Because you usually need to either have bone plating or to have second wind. So your choices are going for domination and taking sudden impact and then taking bone plating, or you can even go resolve, take the nullifying orb, take bone plating, and then you can take either overgrowth or you can take the anti CC one. I can't remember what it's called. Yeah,
Perseverance.
perseverance, good one. or you can take Perseverance and then take on your as your last rune Sudden Impact. But the main problem is that Katarina really wants to take both Sudden Impact and Bone Plating, so it's hard to take Precision. You again, like I said, you can take it versus really easy matchups, but Katarina just doesn't have many of those, right?
Doesn't happen, right?
So Sudden Impact is always a must, and then Bone Plating is preferred versus hard lanes. You can skip it and do what you're doing, but laning phase will be a lot harder for you. Also, do you always go Electrocute?
No, I like to switch it up. I honestly, I'm not sure when, uh, like, if I go for first strike,
Yeah.
when is it preferred? Sometimes I take conquer. I even try these other runes sometimes when I feel like trying new stuff like phase rush, even Airy. I've tried Airy.
Do you remember? Do you remember the phase rush, Katarina? That like her ulti worked with phase rush, so you could just ult and run.
I did not play at the time,
Oh,
but
you
I
missed
did see
out.
a few videos, and yeah, it was pretty fast.
Okay, so Electrocute is best for lane. So if you think you can get 1v1 kills in lane, Electrocute is always the best choice. However,
Right.
um, First Strike gives you a better overall game. It gives you a lot more gold, you snowball a lot better, and you do more damage later into the game. So
Right.
First Strike, I think, is overall better. However, if you can snowball in lane and get a few kills because of Electrocute, then Electrocute is also a great choice. I think both are good.
Right.
Um, Other than
Well,
that, I
what
think.
about?
Go on.
I was gonna say, what about Conquer?
Yeah, that's
I
exactly
know
what,
it's recommended, but
that's what I was gonna say.
I
Conqueror
haven't
is your
played it.
third choice, which I think is okay-ish versus certain team comps, but for the most part, it's very niche. It's only gonna be useful in like 1 out of like 50 games. So for the most
Whoa,
part, pretty much,
those are terrible odds.
yeah. I mean, that's the only time it's gonna be the optimal choice, right? But for the most part, the optimal choice will either be First Strike or Electrocute. So I don't think you need to worry too much about when Conqueror is good because it's just not very often.
Hmm.
Like the only time you'd really need Conqueror is if the enemies just don't have a lot of damage. So they're very tanky and they don't have a lot of damage. That would be the only time you go Conqueror. But even versus this team where they are pretty tanky, it's still not enough for Conqueror. So do you always go Ignite Flash as well? Because
Uh, yeah, pretty much. I feel like if let's say I lose my lane, I will need that extra edge to ensure I execute someone.
yeah, Katarina is actually one of the few champions that you can go Barrier Ignite and you skip Flash. But Ignite is definitely a must, I think.
Oh,
So
right.
you don't have to if you're used to flashing like Flash, you can, but that's one option. I think Katarina is one of the few champions that can do this. However, I do prefer
Yeah,
Flash
she does
Ignite
have
too.
a dash. Right, right.
Yeah. Okay, so let's start with the first game. Okay, so you start with Longsword. So I don't mind the Longsword start. I know that it's really good on Katarina in the early game. It gives you like a better early game trades. It makes it a little easier to farm. But the issue is that you don't build anything with Longsword, right? So you eventually sell it and you lose like 150 gold.
Right.
Okay. So immediately now that the game has started, you need to spot a couple things. So the first thing is she has bone plating, which is really important for you to know because you want to proc bone plating before going in for trades, right? The second
Right.
part is you have to immediately think about jungle matchups. This is something that you should have started thinking of all the way back here in Champ Select or in a loading screen.
Mm.
You have a Master Yi and they have a Diana. So Master Yi, what kind of champion is he, right? He's a farming champion. He's not really gonna be ganking much, right? So you should not be expecting a lot of help from your jungler this game. He's mostly gonna be focused on farming. So while Diana also is a farming champion, she does have slightly better ganks than Yi because she has like a gap closer, right? and she has like more burst damage while Yi needs space to run someone down. So definitely in mid lane especially, Yi cannot gank mid lane. So Diana has slightly better ganks, but she's also more farm focused, right? So every single time you're in loading screen, this is something you should think about. Like, who's the enemy jungler? Like, if the enemy jungler was Pantheon or like Lee Sin, you'd really need to take that into consideration in the early game, because you're just gonna get ganked and get destroyed if you don't play safe, right? So what's interesting is that your Master Yi is actually invading. So you know that Diana is topside, right? Because she's not where Master Yi is. And obviously she's not in your blue buff either, because you have a ward there. So the only place she can be is her red buff. So you already have that information to begin with. And now you can start tracking the enemy jungler and have a rough idea of where they are so you can avoid ganks. And what I've noticed really helps in Wild Rift, because no one has map awareness, or like a perception of where the jungler is, it goes a long way if you can actually ping your teammates where you think the enemy jungler is, by using information like this, right?
Right.
Okay. So yeah, in most matchups with Katarina will go like this. You're going to get pushed in and you're just going to farm under tower, right? So you're doing well so far. Ideally, don't be afraid to waste your spells for farming. Because your main job as Katarina, until like level 5 at least, is to just make sure you're staying up in farm. So like right here, you can use your first ability for the minion, right? It's completely fine. Now you don't want to be missing out on minions and using your spells all into trade. You can use your spells to farm. Okay, good first trade. Yeah, and that's the power of Electrocute, right? That first trade did way more damage than it would with first strike. Okay. Yeah, so like we said, Diana started red buff, right? So she's doing like a level 3 gank top. Unfortunately, your team did not know where she was as well as we did.
Yeah, I could have pinged them, I suppose.
Yeah. Yeah, I find like they should definitely know, but pinging definitely helps. Okay, so the cool thing now is that Lux has wasted all her mana on the wave for no reason. So you can play a lot more aggressive now. Like, you're full HP and she has no mana. So you can trade as freely as you want to try and, like, you can use your spells as much as you want because you don't have many mana problems, right? And even if the trade is not great, it's not that big of a deal. Oh, go on. Like, right now, you can just immediately go on her, you know? Like, you can easily be jumping on her right now. She has no mana. There's nothing she can do. Like, right here, you can easily just use first ability, third ability, second ability, and so on. Like, you should be going in right now. She has no mana.
Oh,
there you go.
I don't remember, do I? Okay.
Good. You get her flash. Perfect. That's what I like to see. But you hesitated a lot, right? You should immediately know, even from all the way back here, you can use your third ability on her, right? Like, you should already know that, oh, this is a great time to fight. But you still do it a little later, so you get her flash, which is good. So now she has two options, right? Either she can take the plant and stay, or base. The best option, in my opinion, is for her to just base. So what you should do is you just push the wave out. Okay, she actually gets the plant. She doesn't base. Never mind. So she has no plant and very low mana, right? 30%. That's enough for like 3 or 4 spells. So again, you can play super aggressive, and even if you lose the trades, you can go back, get your healing plant, and you're going to be ahead of her because you won't have mana for the next trades. So right now you should be playing super aggressive. Like, you should be comboing her right now. She has no flash as well. And if you combo her once now, right, she's going to be around 30 to 40% HP if you do one combo on her now. And you're going to hit level 5 soon, and you can even look for a dive. You can set up a dive. But now you should definitely be going in. Oh, now you can maybe even kill her. Oh, you do kill her. Perfect. Great. That works. Okay. So here you really want to push this wave, right? But she's not kind of letting you. That's annoying, but it is what it is. You do have a lot of minions, so you can probably fight her. She's actually taking so much farm from Lux. If I was Lux, I would be pissed.
Yeah, that's
Okay, now you're in a bit of a weird spot because you want a base. Oh, she's just missing everything. Your movement is too clean. Yeah, you're in a weird spot now though, because you really want a base and she's not really letting you. Okay. You have missed a lot of minions, by the way. Your farming hasn't, like, there's many minions that you should be getting, but you're not getting. And that is definitely something I need to point out, because, like, even here, you miss one, then you miss another one. These are two minions that you could have gotten if you played it a bit better. Yeah, so now you're in a weird position where you're on a base, you don't know what to do. You're walking into a wall for some reason. Okay. So, roaming before boots is usually not a good idea because of how long it takes. Obviously, there's 2 free kills there, right? However, you roam in the worst way possible by being stuck on the wall for at least 4 seconds. So now by the time you get there, they're gonna be gone. Okay, this guy's staying. I don't know if he has ulti though. Okay, he just ulted. Yep.
oh, he does.
Yeah, he just used it.
Oh, does he give me? I think he does.
Okay. So, when playing versus Tryndamere, right? What is Tryndamere good at? He's really good at being melee range against you and just all-attacking you to death. And he has his ulti to always stay alive, right?
Right.
So what you need to do is kite him out. Especially when he has his ulti, there's no point for you to hit him right here, right? Because he's like 10 HP, right? And you can't kill him. So what you need to do is create distance. You need to get away from him, right? So right here where he's all-attacking you, you should use your third ability on this minion up here and stay away from him for a couple seconds. And then when his ulti runs out, you can just kill him with your ulti. So right here again, either you flash, which you don't need to flash, you can just use your third ability on a minion.
Right.
Right? And he would not be able to kill you. And you would kill him right after, because he's tanking third and you still have your ulti up too.
Right.
Okay. I wonder, do you get boots or do you get your first item? Or do you just start building?
I think I got my. See, I don't remember. What do I do?
Okay, so you do get both. Wait, what? What are you doing?
I have no idea.
Okay, so first of all, okay, so you die at 336, right? I think it was actually 35. Let me see. So this is the most important thing I'm gonna teach you today, probably. So right as it turns 336, you die. Okay?
Yeah.
You have an 18-second death recap. So for 18 seconds, you can decide what you're gonna build, right? So you spawn. At 353, you spawn. Okay? And now you're just waiting in base. Still waiting in base. Trying to decide what you're gonna build. You spawn at 353, right?
Right. Yeah.
Still in base. 412. So you wasted 19 seconds after the 18-second death recap, which you could have bought, right? It took you 37 seconds to decide what you're gonna build. You just wasted like a tenth of the game, pretty much, right? It's Wild Rift. The games are really quick. You wasted like 1/30th of the game just doing nothing, just being AFK, pretty much. So this is the main issue. Every time I coach anyone that's below diamond, this is the main thing they do wrong. They just waste so much time doing nothing. They're not efficient with their time, right? So that's the first thing. That's super important. The second thing is the god-awful items that you've decided to build. So the pennant is fine, right? So here's what I would buy with the gold that you have, right? You have 2,500 gold. Boots cost 1,400, right? And then you can get Prophet's Pennant for 1,000. That would be the optimal build with the gold you have. So after taking 40 seconds to decide, you make the completely wrong choice and you decide to start building towards... I'm not even sure what you're building towards. Crown. Okay.
I don't remember.
Yeah, it seems like it's crown. So you have one component for Infinity Orb and one component for crown, right?
Right.
And you also have a longsword. So the issue with this is that in Wild Rift, it's super important to complete your items, especially when you're playing AP champions. Because when you complete an item with an AP champion, you also get a 7% magic pen, right?
Right.
So you should not be just stacking components, right? The main goal is to finish an item. So what I recommend doing on Katarina, build-wise, Infinity Orb is always your best first item. You have a choice of either rushing Infinity Orb or rushing Boots and then going Infinity Orb. Both are fine. I usually, depending on how you base and how much gold you have, you can decide between the two, right? But you never want to build... And I mean, you never want to build the crown this early either. Crown is not like a first or second item on Katarina. Your main build should be Boots, Infinity Orb, and then Death Cap. That's your like core items to maximize your damage. Like crown would be very situational as a first or second item. As a third item, it's alright, but even then, after the nerfs, because he got nerfed pretty bad, I would recommend going... Yeah, this is a nice little roam, by the way. Yeah, it's really good that you spotted Tryndamere and you went immediately there instead of going mid. So that was really good map awareness. Good job. Yeah, so I would go crown fourth most of the time. I would usually get like Rift Maker third, I think. Okay, so now you don't have your ult, so you don't have a lot of kill pressure, but you can still trade with her. She's only level 6 and you're level... Or she's level 7. She just hit level 7, you're level 8. So you can still trade with her. As long as you're making sure that you're dodging her abilities, which you've done super well this game, by the way. You've dodged all her abilities pretty much. Also, here's another tip with Katarina. So in this situation, if you're going electrocute and you jump on her like this, you need to get a no attack to proc the electrocute. Which I'm not 100% sure if it's gonna proc, but hypothetically your E and third ability and no attack should be enough to proc it.
Oh yeah, I think it does, because
Yeah, I'm not...
The Shimpo is considered an attack, and
Yeah.
like you jumping to a dagger, that's another one, and plus the auto attack, I guess that's 3.
Yeah. I'm not sure if the shampoo and passive combine as one, but I'm pretty sure they count as separate.
Oh, it does. It does if you aim the jump near Lux.
Okay.
Like, let's see.
Yeah, if she's the target.
For some reason. Yeah, something like that.
Yeah. Also, I'm gonna point out, because it's really good. Every time, and this is what I was telling you to do right before too. So you shampoo, and then notice how you immediately auto attack. You see that 60 physical? That's the auto attack.
Right.
You should be trying, especially in the early game, especially when you go longsword as well, because your attacks will do more.
Right.
You'd want to be sneaking in those auto attacks with Katarina. Super important in the early game. Which you've mostly done, which is good. Okay, you get her flash. I guess you didn't know your ulti wasn't up, but that's good. Okay, you're in a great spot right here because you can freeze this wave and there's nothing she can do and you're gonna get a free kill in a bit. So you can pretty much kill her whenever. The moment she walks up. Yep, she should... Oh, when you kill her. So right here, she has no first ability, right? She has no third ability, she only has her shield. Just use your first ability on her, jump behind her and ult. She should be dead. You have electrocute up as well.
Oh, I don't remember. Did I do it?
You don't, you just walk back. She'll probably give you another chance because she's really bad, but it's... The thing is, you need to be able to spot these opportunities that you can get a kill. Because as you get higher and higher elo, opponents... What's up? You're kind of cutting out. I didn't catch that. Can you repeat?
Oh, sorry. I was... were you trying to say I should spot... I should spot it really quick and, like...
Yeah.
react immediately?
Exactly. You need to be able to spot the opportunities that you can get kills. So right now in your head, she has no flash, right? Look where the wave is. In your head, you should be thinking, I'm going to kill her. The moment she walks up, I'm going to get a free kill, right? So even here, you could, I don't know if maybe you're in range of the shampoo, to shampoo over this and kill her. Because she has no flash, right? But she walks up anyway, so this is fine. Like, now you should immediately, like after you use your second ability here, in your head, you should be thinking, I'm going to jump on this dagger, and then I'm going to use my first ability on her, jump behind her, and ult, and kill her. That's what should be going through your head. You need to be able to spot these types of opportunities immediately. So now you jump, first ability, behind her, ult, and she's dead. Right? You agree with me that she would die there, right? Like, right here. If you use your first ability and your third ability and then you ulted, you agree that she would die, right?
I do see it happening.
You could see it? Okay, that's good.
For sure.
And you need to be able to, like, spot. It's super important, especially when you one-trick a champion, to be able to spot these types of opportunities. Okay. So your jungle is actually rotating for dragon. Okay, Katarina, her strength, right, is these team fights, right? Playing these team fights properly, especially in the early to mid game. So, as long as you know how to do this well, you're gonna climb. So let's see you in team fights. Okay, that wasn't too bad. Let me see it one more time. So you immediately just focus the ADC, which is fine. Yeah, you had a lot of options this team fight. You could have done a lot. I think this is fine. Like, you're just not doing a lot of damage because you don't have, like, boots, by the way. Like, your damage is just a lot lower because you want Phoenix Codex. Like, you should have been able to kill that Vayne pretty easily. Okay, but you get the dragon. Oh, you don't base. Okay. You didn't need Ignite there, but it's fine. Okay, you base and you get Crown. So, Crown, again, really bad as a first item. Like, your first couple, you should always be going Infinity Orb, Boots, Death Cap. Those should always be your first 3 items on Katarina.
Right.
What I like to do is I like to be a little cheesy and go Rallies as my third item. But you can also go things like you can go Crown third item. I think the most like recommended thing what like high, low, and good Katarina players do is Rift Maker. So either Rift Maker, Crown, all those are good as third items. The anti-shield item would actually be really good here. Actually, this is one of those rare games where I think the anti-shield item would be better as a second item, and then getting Death Cap third. Because of how much shielding they have, right? Malphite shield, Diana shield, Lux shield. Yeah, they have a lot of shielding. So this is one of those rare cases where I would even say the anti-shield item second would be great, after Infinity Orb, which should always be your first item. So just don't get, especially after the crown nerfs, is just not that great as a first item in Katarina. You're just gonna be losing a lot of damage. Okay, so you're in a spot where you can just kill her whenever you feel like it, right? Nice. That was very well played. Nice Katarina mechanics. Okay. What I don't like here is that you immediately recalled when you could have taken a plate. So the first couple plates are super easy to take, right? And at 7:30 you can no longer take plates. It's kind of rare that you're going to be in a situation where you can take plates with Katarina, but this is one of those rare situations that you can. And you should definitely always, whenever you can take plates, take them, because it's 150 gold. That's like a lot of gold. That's like a wave worth of gold. So in this situation, you had like 12 seconds, so you could be hitting the turret and getting at least one plate. You could again push this wave and maybe even look for 2 plates before they go down. So that's like 300. Like now the plate stopped. So you could have taken at least 2 plates, I believe. So that would be 300 extra gold. That's like almost a kill.
I always get worried. Like maybe I'm like I waste my recall timing,
Mm.
and I keep doubting myself basically.
No, that's fair. Recall timings are important, and so far you've been pretty good with your recalls. However, plates are super underrated. Like 300 gold is so much to take so quickly. It would like I very often overextend and die for plates that I shouldn't. But it's also better to overextend and die because next time you know what your limits can be with getting plates, right? If you never take them, you'll never know how many you could have taken, right? So definitely don't overextend for them, but for the first 2 plates, because they're super easy to get, you should be getting them consistently in most games, especially when you're solo killing your opponent this much. Okay, so... Okay, he stole it. Oh no. Okay, again. What did we learn about Tryndamere last time, right? When fighting Tryndamere and he has his ulti up, all we need to do is not stay on top of him. We need to create distance. So in this situation, what can you do, right? You can dash to Master Yi. That's your best play. So right now you need to dash to Master Yi and run. Because you're just staying melee range with him and he's just whipping you, right? You need to immediately create distance.
Yeah.
Oh no, Master Yi's gonna take all those minions. Feels bad.
Is that a bad thing?
The Master Yi's taking all these minions?
Yeah.
It's bad for you.
Oh, okay, alright.
Because he's taking like all the gold.
What's happened then?
Like I'm sure Master Yi feels great about it. But ideally, you don't, especially because I'm pretty sure he's still... I don't remember what minute it's in, but I'm pretty sure he still gets less gold for those. Okay, important macro moment.
Mm-hmm.
So, Master Yi takes your minions, right? And you're bot lane right now.
Right.
Your 2 choices are to either push this wave and start pressuring the turret, or go mid lane, right? You're already pushing the turret, right? The ideal situation would be for Mundo to go and cover mid, so you can continue pushing top. And then if Tryndamere comes, because you don't want to fight Tryndamere, you can start leaving. But Tryndamere doesn't come. You see Tryndamere, he's top lane now. So you could get a free turret. And Mundo is already, like, apparently Mundo has this really good macro, and he knows, and he goes mid. Right? So now you could be getting a free turret. And you could also be getting all this farm bot that Master Yi is now gonna get. So, this is unfortunate because he just steals your farm, because that should have gone to you. But now this wave you should be taking, and you're not taking for some reason. You're going mid lane and doing random stuff. So you could have taken this entire wave, the next wave, and turret. Right? So that would have given you hundreds of gold. Instead, you go mid lane and you share some gold with Mundo. And you don't really do anything because there's nothing to do. You're just walking around. You're roaming all the way from bot lane to top lane. So you want...
Oh, is that really bad? Could I do that a lot?
That's literally what you did. So you're bot lane, right? 848. You're hiking to top lane. You went for a little adventure. You spent like 35 seconds walking all the way from bot to top. Master Yi is doing the... And the thing is, you might get a couple kills here, right?
I keep getting worried. You know, they might need me to clean up. That's all. That's always in my head.
Like, the main thing you need to think about is making the correct decisions and worry less about what your teammates are doing. Think about your teammates like bots, right? And you have to make the correct decision based on what they're doing. So 2 of your teammates died because the enemies committed 4 people top, which is fine, right?
Right.
you're roaming all the way from bot lane to top lane instead of just pressuring the other side of the map. And the thing is, Master Yi's bot, right? If Master Yi was here with you, maybe this would be okay-ish. Maybe. Because you guys can clean up. But if the...
He's the exception. Like if Master Yi is with me, I can join him.
So if Master Yi is with you and you guys are going for this play, then this is fine. It's okay, right? But since Master Yi is bot anyway, you need to play the other side of the map. You need to get the turret, right? That's the decision. So right here, when your jungler is bot side, right? And this guy's about to go mid. Your decision making should be, okay, let's make a play bot side. Like, unless you have teleport and you somehow spawn top lane at this point, right? There's no point for you to be top side. Your team is now clearly playing bot side. So Master Yi continues playing bot side. I think Master Yi is doing the right thing. Ideally, you would be getting this turret and he would be getting the jungle farm. He would be in the enemy jungle taking the camps, right? Because these guys are already dead. There's no way you can save them. You can't just teleport to top. So you'll go there and maybe best case situation, the enemies make mistakes here and you can clean up, right? But if the enemies are good and they know they're playing versus Master Yi and Katarina, two very good cleanup champions, they would just back off, right? So let's see what ends up happening. Okay, you end up using the Herald behind, so now there's no turret. And maybe you can clean up kills. Mundo killed the Tryndamere, right? Yeah, he kills the Tryndamere. Okay, so maybe you can get the Vayne. Okay, you are able to. So you get the shutdown on Vayne, which is nice. Which is good, because if you didn't get that, then it would be a complete disaster. You would have wasted so much time for 0 gold, pretty much. Maybe? I didn't love that flash, but it works, so. Okay, you are able to clean up a bit and get a couple kills, which is nice. However, as you play with better and better players, they're gonna make mistakes like these less often, right? Because what should the enemies do right now, right? They just got 3 kills. They see you and Mundo come, right? You guys were mid. They have vision of you coming.
I stood on a ward, I believe.
Yeah, they have vision of you coming. So if Vayne was smart right now and does not want to give Katarina a free shutdown, she would just back off, right? Tryndamere probably dies no matter what because he's in between turrets, but the rest of them can just back off like Malphite did. And just stay as a unit here, and you wouldn't be able to do anything. If you went in, Vayne would stun you, and it would be over. So the enemies did make a mistake for you to be able to get away with something like this. And if you didn't get anything there, you would have just wasted a minute of time doing nothing, right? So unfortunately, your bot lane is just inting, which is not great. Alright, let's see how you approach this team fight, which is really weird because it's like 3v5. Okay, I guess you're just not gonna go, which is fine too.
Yeah.
But the thing is, right, it's 10:38, 39. To either go to fight or push mid, right? Like, you should be pushing this wave. Because by pushing this wave, you're creating pressure. Either the enemies are going to lose gold under turret, or someone is going to have to go there, right? So it's a win-win for you when an objective is happening. Like right now, you could be pushing the wave. But you're just standing still, like, doing nothing, right?
I guess I'm just worried.
You're thinking about going, you're kind of stalling. Which, I think it's fine if you want to go. Like, you have a good flank position, even though it's 45, I think you can still win it. But you're not doing anything, you're just kind of chilling. Oh, this would be oh, this is really nice for you to go in. Oh, you're really taking your time.
I really don't remember.
Oh, you're really taking your time. Are you AFK? Hello? What? What are you doing? Dude, I would be flaming you so hard in chat right now if you did this, by the way. As like I've played quite a bit of Katarina, right? When I see, I'll show you the exact moment. When I see this, I'm salivating. I'm like, I need to go in. Like something clicks in my brain. I'm like, oh my god, I'm about to get the pentakill of my life. So Malphite ults in, right? No Malphite ulti.
Right.
I'm not sure if Tryndamere has ult or if he used it before.
I guess I was worried about their CC.
But Malphite uses his ulti, so they're all like focused around here, this area. Master Yi's about to go in, right? If you were right, if you just stepped up a little bit and comboed right here, taking out the Lux, that would be your first target, right? After you take out the Lux and do a lot of AoE damage, you can either back off to your team that would have walked up by then. You can like shampoo to them, or you can just clean up and get a pentakill if you can just keep getting resets. But the main CC is down, Malphite ulti, right? And you still have your crown, so you're completely fine. Especially right now, this is like a pentakill waiting to happen. Like I'm watching it and I'm shaking, and you're just standing in the bush. He just got a 5-man root. Like again, it keeps getting better and better. Like that's why it's super important to be patient with Katarina, right? Because the fight can get better. So this is amazing. He just flashed with a Senna root on 5 people. 4 people are rooted right here, and you're not going in on this because you're just standing in the bush looking at the fight. I'm getting angry just watching it.
If I'm being honest, I did not recognize the route at the time. I still thought, what's the word? Like I can't tell if someone is rooted or not all the time.
And you just let this, like, Diana get away, by the way. This was probably the worst Katarina teamfight I've seen in a while. And you end up getting 1 kill out of that. You end up losing this fight, this game-winning fight that you should have had. Also, you're getting boots way too late. You should definitely have boots before 2 items. Like, it's fine to not rush them and get Infinity Orb first, but after 1 item, you always need to have boots. Boots are really important, especially on Katarina. They give like insane stats for how much gold they're worth. Oof, that was actually frustrating. Okay, I'm calm now. We're good.
I'm sorry.
It's like I'll survive.
Imagine how my team felt at the time.
Dude, I told you, I usually never flame or type in chat, but if my Katarina did that, I would literally open up chat and start yelling. Like, why are you not going? What are you waiting for? Okay. So, I kind of understand the need to go mid when you see like a Malphite ulti like this. But after this kind of calms down, you're like, oh, I guess we can't really do anything. Which I think you could. I think you could easily dash on the Malphite, then use your second ability that just came up, and then use first ability on Lux, pick up the dagger, get the reset to jump on Lux, or wherever your first ability lands, and ult and kill Lux, right? Do you visualize what I'm saying?
Yeah.
Yeah, that's... You can definitely like have gone in on this. I don't really know why you're not going and you... Why are you looking top? Your Master Yi is getting a kill right next to you. Like right here. You see him, right? And you're looking top. I don't understand why you're so afraid to like go in on these fights.
Oh, okay.
Like you're...
I believe this game, it was only the Tryndamere getting
Yeah, Tryndamere was the only fed one on their team. Yeah. But
for some reason.
Your goal is not to shut down Tryndamere, right? Your goal is to snowball. You're playing Katarina, right? That's your main goal. You don't care who's fed in the enemy team. You care about just cleaning up again and again and just getting quadra and pentakills and resets all the time. So when you see low enemies like this, when you see Master Yi put on the work on Malphite, you don't tunnel vision on Tryndamere on the other side of the map. You just kill the Malphite in the Lux. Like they're right in front of you. Just kill him and then jump on the Lux and kill her too. It doesn't matter that they're both a 0-5, right? Make them 0-6. Like you don't need to tunnel vision the Tryndamere on the other side of the map, right?
Okay, I suppose I did. I really thought like me shutting down
The Tryndamere, yeah.
member was
what I've noticed in general, you seem
what I'm supposed
very,
to do.
very tunnel visioned. You have like one goal and you don't really assess the situation. You just focus on that one goal instead of doing what's best in that moment, right?
Right.
Like your decision making should be based on what's happening, not necessarily just the one goal that you have fixated on. Okay, you guys are kind of just wasting time top lane. So another thing I'd like to point out is how little farm you've been getting the entire mid game. If you go back and you look from like the beginning of this game up until like from the mid game after you left lane up until now, you're not farming any waves. Like all your decisions have been made without farm in mind. Like when you moved all the way from bot lane to top lane and you just farmed one wave mid, like you spend an entire minute and only farmed like half a wave, right? Even now, when this fight is happening, it's not getting any minions. You go top lane, you're not getting any minions. Master Yi is getting them. Not getting minions. Again, another wave where you're not getting minions. Now you're finally going mid and getting a few minions, but you're sharing them with Senna. Okay, now you're finally gonna go and farm something, which is good. But in general, you're making decisions that... like, it's not always... like, a lot of the time it is the correct decision, but you're missing out on a lot of farm doing it. You know? Like, you're not really taking farm to... like, right now, your decision is to either go mid and help in this fight or take the farm. You always choose to go help, which might be the right decision a lot of the time, but it seems to be your only decision. You never take farm into account, and you're just kind of falling behind in farm.
Right. I think it's been etched to me at this point because it feels like I should always be there.
Like now you're just... you didn't even directly go there. You're just walking around, right? You're going bot lane for some reason to like chase
I don't even know
Vayne.
what I'm doing.
Okay, you did get this guy. Like, you're just kind of roaming the map the entire time and hoping to get kills, which can work, and Katarina is one of those champions that you can make that work, but it's not the optimal decision most of the time, and you need to get good at making those optimal decisions, right? Instead of just making the same decision again and hoping that... right, there's circumstances that happen, and based on those circumstances, you can make a decision. You always make the same decision and then hope that the circumstances line up, instead of looking at the circumstances and then making a decision, if you know what I mean. Like, you're always choosing to chase the kills without taking other things into account, and you just hope that the things line up. Instead of, for example, here, what I would have done is I would have taken this farm, I would have taken this wave, this next wave, and then I would have gone to my team, which would have been fine anyway because you're kind of circling around here wasting time. So you have definitely gotten the farm as well. The Vayne is trolling by split pushing, but that's good. Okay, what do you build next? Oh, you've actually gone armor. Armor on your boots. Why is that?
I don't remember.
So
What are we up against?
you're up against Tryndamere, Vayne as the two AD champions. And then they have Diana, Malphite, Lux. So you're probably thinking, oh, Tryndamere is fed, so I need armor boots, right?
Yeah.
So when you're playing Katarina, 90% of the time, you're gonna go mage boots, right? 55 AP and 8 magic pen. Super good stats for Katarina, especially in the early game. And for only 1,400 gold. You're ripping off the shopkeeper. So your other options are magic resist boots and armor boots, right? You should only be getting those when the enemies have at least 4 AD champions or 4 AP champions. So when they're very heavily armor, or when they're very heavily AD or AP based. Then you can take the tank boots, right? But when they're split like this, right? So Tryndamere does purely physical damage, right? Vayne does physical damage, true damage, and magic damage with the Wit's Ends and the electric thing and the static shiv. Now Blade of the Ring King does physical damage. Her second ability does true damage, and Wit's Ends will do quite a bit of magic damage. This will also do magic damage. Tryndamere or Malphite, magic damage. Lux, magic damage. Diana, magic damage, right? So you're building boots only for one champion that instead of killing you with 6 auto attacks, he'll kill you with 7 auto attacks, right? It doesn't make a massive difference. If he's on top of you and you don't have stasis, which you don't because you decided to go proto belt this game, you're just gonna die anyway. So on Katarina, I think 60% of the time you should be going Quicksilver. If the enemies have a lot of CC, Quicksilver is really OP on Katarina. Especially if you can be a little predictive with it so they can't cancel your ult. And the other 40% of games should be going Stasis. I don't think Proto Build is a good choice on Katarina. You already have enough dashes. Especially when you have Flash, right? You only just Flash jump in. Like, you don't use Proto Build that much. Like, that little gap close is not going to be useful. If you really want Proto Build, go Hex Flash or something. That's a joke, by the way. Don't go Hex Flash. Alright, let's see how you play this team fight. Oh, you're just waiting in a ward. Oh, okay. So, good time to mention. In the mid game, when you play Assassins, you definitely don't want to have this trinket. Especially since you're not using it. You've placed like no wards. You want to be going for Sweeper. So, for situations exactly like this, when you're flanking, it's not just to clear vision, but it's mostly for situations like this, where you're flanking and you don't know if you're in a ward, right? Sweep the area, so now you would know you're in a ward and you can play it differently. And also because you're sweeping it, they wouldn't be able to see you if you didn't hit the ward, so that gives you another small advantage. Also, if I were you here, I would just jump on these guys. Like first ability on Diana, jump in between them, ult. They have no way to stop you, by the way. I think Diana already used her ult, right? Let me see. No, maybe she didn't. It's still the right play to make, though. And this is also why Zonia is super useful, because if she does still have ult, you can be in between them, you can do a lot of AoE damage, and you can still Zonias, or Stasis. Sorry for saying Zonias, that's from League of Legends. And you can Stasis, and then your team can follow up, right? But because, again, you didn't have Sweeper, even though your positioning was good, it was worded. Oh. Jump on something! No! I mean, yeah, you're dead here no matter what at this point. You could have maybe jumped on your team, and they could have helped you, right? Like if you... I guess there's no one to jump to either.
This trend of me, I wanted to get even. I think I got him twice.
If you had a stasis too, maybe your team could help you, but... Yeah, the problem is, right? This fight is happening. You have 9 kills, and this is why Katarina is such a weird champion. You did nothing this fight. You've done 0 damage. You've contributed absolutely nothing. But you have 9 kills, right? So that's the thing with Katarina. If you don't play the fights well, you can be completely useless.
Well, although I do have to kill...
Oh wait, be right back. Give me a second.
Really putting pressure.
Give me a second. Be right back. Sorry about that. I'm back. What do you say?
Yeah, I was just saying, although I do get these kills every now and then, it doesn't really put pressure on the enemy team. You know what I mean?
No.
Like,
Your team actually won the fight, by the way. I don't know how, but they won the fight, so that works, I guess. You get dragon.
I guess what I'm trying to say is that it feels like everything I do is just coin flipping.
Yeah.
Just win those coin flips.
That's kind of how you're playing for. So you're not really making decisions. You're just chasing kills around the map, and then hoping that works out. Like it feels like you don't put thought into the decisions. You just either you just make a choice and hope for the best. You know. Like the main mistakes of this game have been your teamfight positioning, which is the main thing with Katarina. When you're playing Katarina, you need to pop off in teamfights. That's all that really matters, and you haven't really done that. And we'll review specifically that in a bit after the game, but let's finish off the game first. So right here, the enemies are spawning, right? In 6 seconds. One, they spawned. Everyone spawned. So all of the enemies have spawned. And you're still here, right? You get greedy for the turret, sure, but now you need to be running. You're not running, you're chasing for some reason. And now all the enemies have spawned, and you get run down. So I think even this is probably bad, because your team is not coming. And Tryndamere and Diana are alive. So if Tryndamere comes, he kills you both, right? And he just goes around to do that, so you can't run. So I think taking the turret is bad, but the moment you take it, you need to immediately run. Like now you should be dashing on your thing and leaving, right? Again, you still have time to dash on it while he's ulting. Dash, dash, dash. You didn't, right? So that's a disaster. So definitely should not have died there. And maybe the enemies get Baron from it, which is really bad. Okay, they do. So I'm gonna go back to it because this is something that happens so much in lower reloads. And it's people overextending for turrets that don't matter. This inhibitor does not matter. Mid inhibitor is kind of useless. So, if you guys die here, the game becomes 5v3, right? At 17 minutes, the enemies can get a free Baron and completely turn the game around. Getting caught and overextending this late into the game just loses you games for no reason. Games that should be won, like this game should be won, right? So by overextending here, for a turret, which you didn't even need the turret, right? But you still, even after the turret, you still had a chance to get away if you dashed on that dagger and then maybe Master Yi could help you with Tryndamere. But now both of you die and you guys are going to lose Baron and now the game is at risk. Like now they're the favorites to win the game after this death. Which is a stupid death that didn't need to happen, right?
Right.
So they get Baron. They win a team fight. Okay, you guys actually, your team actually is doing really well. They're able to, like, they cleaned up 3 of them, so they're gonna stall the Baron a little bit. And you guys might get Elder too. Because your team is just, Master Yi is just smurfing. Okay. So, again, decision making, right?
Right.
Elder has spawned. 3 enemies are dead. You don't have a jungler, right? So,
Right.
if you don't want your team to do Elder, you have to ping them away. You have to tell them we're not doing Elder. We don't have our jungler up, which is fine. Okay?
Right.
However, your whole team going Elder and you going bot lane is the worst thing possible. This late into the game, unless you're playing like a split push champion like Tryndamere, like Jax, you should be grouping with your team. You don't want to be split pushing this late with Katarina. And your team just ends up dying on the Elder and you lose Elder. Right?
Right.
And you're playing Katarina, you're like, this entire time where you had chances to farm side lanes, you weren't taking them. And now in the late game when you're supposed to group, you're farming side lanes, right?
Oh, right, right.
Okay. I'm gonna skip a little ahead.
Basically, it's like I'm not playing Katarina, right?
Huh? Can you repeat that?
Yeah, so basically, it's like I'm not playing Katarina, right?
Yeah, exactly. Like at the beginning, you're very much playing Katarina. You were just running around looking for kills, and now you're split pushing in the late game, which makes no sense. Like now you should be grouped up and looking for fights, because you're not gonna beat split pushing. You're not gonna split push against Tryndamere, right?
Right.
And now they have Elders, so you just don't want to fight, but your team is of course gonna fight. Okay, that's how you approach this team fight. Okay, you just get one shot. Yeah, you need to try and jump in the back line, right? And you didn't really find a good angle. But when you did have the angles, you didn't go. Okay. I'm surprised you haven't lost yet. The enemies are doing a really bad job at ending the game. Okay, and now again, you're gonna go mid and get caught, right?
I did realize this. It seems like they didn't know how to close the game. Lucky for me, they were just as bad.
Oh, Jesus, you got caught. Okay, I've noticed 2 main things that you need... Oh, you're typing. Please tell me you're not typing. Train looks like he's scared to win. They say you're noticing it too.
No, honestly, it did feel like they should have won earlier. I realized that much.
I mean, yeah. The thing is, this was an easy game for you guys to win. Okay, so here's the two main things that you need to. If you take anything away, you need to take away these two things. The first one, which applies on every champion, not just Katarina, just applies in general. This game, you lost, by the way. You trolled your team and you lost this game. You could have easily won if you just didn't make two mistakes or one mistake, which was the overextension. Right here. At this point in the game, 17 minutes in, you really need to be careful with your decisions and play with your team. If you're going to make solo decisions, they need to be really, really good. Because if you make a mistake as a team, worst case scenario, your team might be able to cover up for you, right? It's better to just altogether make a mistake. It might still work out than you by yourself making a mistake. So in this situation, this overextension, even though you guys are way ahead, you just won a team fight, you aced them, and you got a dragon. Your team is even preparing for Baron. They're like trying to rush Baron, which I think you guys can probably do if you all go to it right away.
Right.
You choose to go mid lane and try and take this inhibitor and you overextend and you die, which gives the enemy team a free Baron. Right?
Right.
And then again, this decision again, when your team's going Elder, it's better to make a mistake together, even if this is the wrong call and Diana still steals it. It's better to make a mistake together. So if you were in this fight, right, where Vayne and Diana just 2v3, if you were here, maybe you could have turned this team fight around. You could have killed these two guys and then you could have got an Elder, right?
Right.
So in the late game, you need to play with your team more, right?
Oh, when is that though? Is that always at 17 minutes?
It's when Baron spawns. So it's like 12. It starts at 12 minutes, but by 15 minutes, you should be playing with your team a lot more. Like, you can farm sideways as Katarina, that's fine, but you need to be playing with your team around the objectives especially. And the other main mistake is these two team fights. So, I mean, this was the main one for me. I just don't understand why you're not going in. And this other one where you just didn't have sweeper, which, like, okay, pay attention to this 2 number right here on the trinket, okay?
Right.
I'm just gonna go to random spots in the game. You see how it says 2?
Mm-hmm.
You see how it says 2 again? Oh, now 1, because you just placed a word, right? This might have been the first word of the game that you placed, I'm not sure. And you've actually placed it outside of the bush, which is really funny. Like, you're not really placing words, which I don't think it's a big deal, because you should have sweeper. But at least take the sweeper, right? Yeah, again, you place another word, but you're just not really using your words much. Which, again, not a big deal because you should have sweeper. But like, and you're also doing like these useless words, right? Like 3 are dead, the other 2 are at Elder, and you're warding this bush, right? It's a waste of a word. Like, this is not gonna help with anything. Obviously, warding isn't that massive of a deal because again, you should be running sweeper and you're a Katarina OTP, so you don't need to worry about it too much.
Mm-hmm.
But your wording is terrible. Okay.
Got it.
So now feel free to ask me questions about anything. Wild Rift related, of course. And of course, if you don't, if I don't respond right away, if I don't respond right away, you can always or like, if you don't think of a question right away, you can always message me on Discord and I'll always respond, right?
Right. It's okay.
So if you have any questions, now would be the time to ask.
Right. I suppose the only question I have in mind right now is how many games do you would you say, like, because so far I just play however like much I want, but I don't stop. But is there like a number of times where you should stop? Let's say after you get a good solid of wins or you lose.
As long as you're playing solid, that's all that matters.
Right. Okay.
That's pretty much all that matters, right? Um,
Right.
so as long as you're not making mistakes like this team fight and you can still focus and you're not overextending, as long as you can play well, you can keep playing. It doesn't really matter. It's up to you.
Right.
So what you should do, again, think about the two main things that we said: team fights and how to approach them. The best way to learn that is watching other good Katarina players. So I'm gonna link you like one game, for example, but if you just type Katarina Wild Rift and you look for these Chinese players, they're usually really good at those types of things. Don't focus so much on their builds or any clickbait like that. Just look at the gameplay and look at how they're like approaching these team fights. That's the main thing for you, right? Pay close attention how they approach your team fights, and then go back to your replays after you play a game. Go back and look at how you approached every team fight as Katarina. What was your positioning? Could you have done anything differently, right? Because like I'm pretty sure you can agree with me when you would look at this team fight, especially that you should have gone in earlier, right? That's something that you can spot by yourself too. You don't need me to tell you, right?
Yeah.
You know what team fight I'm talking about. I can't find it right now.
The one with the
Yeah.
arrow.
And the other thing, stop overextending in the late game. Just play with your team and try to focus. Like from these games, you can also look at their late game decision making. But in the late game, make sure you don't get caught. Getting caught in the late game is awful. So play with your team. And also improve your build based on what we talked about, right?
Right.
All right, do you have any other questions?
If I let's say it feels like I should maximize my damage aside from my core build, what else do you think I could use for that first rotation?
I mean,
Damage.
your combos were fine, I think. Like are you talking about build or how to combo properly?
Yeah, build wise.
Oh, well, build wise, again, you should be rushing boots or infinity orb and then getting the other one. I would usually go boots first because it gives you like some roaming options too. So do boots, like mage boots rush, right? Not tank boots. Mage boots, infinity orb, death cap. That should be your core always.
Right.
Like those should always be your first three items. And then you can choose between the anti-shield item, right? That's fine. If the enemies have a lot of shielding. Or you can go Rift Maker, right? Or you can go Crown. Crown is fine as third or fourth item or even fifth item. Like, I don't hate Crown, I just hate it as a first item.
Right.
I think that's kind of your options in Katarina. You can also go Rylai's because I like Rylai's. I think it's fine if the enemies don't have like a lot of dashes or flashes or ways to get out of your ulti.
Right.
So I think that's fine too. But primarily you're getting your core three items, Infinity Orb, Death Cup Boots, and then going either Rift Maker, Ocean Strident, and then you can either do like Rylai's, Crown, stuff like that. Depending on the game, obviously. But as long as you get those first three items, you should be good. Alright, and only go Armor Boots or Magic Resist Boots if the enemies have like 4 or 5 champions that are AP or 4 or 5 champions that are AD, right? That's fine too.
Right.
Alright. Any other questions?
That's it for me.
Yeah, I mean, if you think of a question like based on what we talked about, and again, you can watch the replay of the coaching session again. So if while rewatching it, you think of any questions, feel free to message me on Discord. I usually respond quite quickly.
No problem. Thank you.
Alright, well, it was good talking to you, man.
You too.
I hope this helped you, and I hope you get master soon.
Thank you. Thank you very much.
Alright, see ya. Have a good day. Or a good night for you, I guess.
Yeah.
Alright, have a good night. Bye.